Once again, it's your boy Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector. The show is called Long Island ChangeMakers, and it's my opportunity, my honor, my pleasure to meet with people who are my friends, people who are on the front lines doing great, impactful work, people who are changing community, people who are impacting community. And without further ado, my friend Rich Salgado. Big Daddy, what's up, baby? How are you?
How you doing?
Good to see you, man. I love seeing you. Thanks for, MJ Padone introduced us, and this is going back to Philanthropy in Focus, my show that I do every week where I interview people doing work in the nonprofit sector. And she said, you got to have Big Daddy on your show. And I said, okay, tell me why. And she said, the work you've done with nonprofit organizations and things like that. And I got to be honest with you, I know you're a big deal, right?
I'm just a big guy.
Oh, big guy, Big Daddy, big deal. But I know like people who I talk to now, since we become friends, I'll say, I know certain people, like if they're connected to sports or something like that, I'll say, oh, you got to know Big Daddy. Of course, I know Big Daddy and I didn't know you like that. And the last couple of years, I guess a year and a half, 2 years, gotten to know you and see some of the work you're doing, and had an opportunity to be out at your golf outing with my sons. You had seen what I was doing with my dad owns the Ralph's Ices. So
Great ices.
Yeah, they are, right? I know. Bad news, I got to tell you, I eat too many of them. We were just talking about being healthy and doing the right thing before. And I drive my daughter out there. She works out there in Huntington next to the Paramount Theater. And I drive her out there, and I get an icer and I drop her off. And then I pick her up. So I get another ice. But it's not like see, the problem with anything is if you don't have to pay for it,
you're going to get it, yeah.
Dude, the thing I go, just get me the big one. Just like, and it's like 7 scoops in there. It's, I don't know. Self-control hasn't always been my strong suit,
It's gotten better for me as I've gotten older.
Yeah,
So
what's your favorite flavor of Italian ice?
I'm a peanut butter guy. I love peanut butter, and that was one of the things I had to give up.
Is that right?
Like, instead of going with the thick peanut butter when you make a jelly sandwich, now if I have anything, I have the powder.
So my wife just picked that up for a friend of ours, and I think they got it at Costco or BJ's or something like that. Comes in like a jug. Tell me about that, because this girl was trying to explain to my wife and I why you would use the powder.
It's just better for you. Okay. And peanut butter. And it's funny, 20 years ago I would eat whatever the hell I wanted, no big deal. But now you pay attention, and like peanut butter, it swells you up, which you really don't, a lot of people don't take into account and don't realize it. So then I had sat with a nutritionist, and they had made a protein shake. Okay. And I was like, it was just tasting like liquid. Yeah. And I'm like, but I thought you said this was peanut butter. They're like, yeah, made it with water and peanut butter powder. Okay. The next best thing you could do is, like, I go to Ivorone Brothers, best place in the world,
right up the block here,
right over here, and they make the peanuts. They crush them. Yes, but it doesn't have the salt and the sugar.
But that's the problem with it. That's what I was thinking you were going to say too. Like, I was going to say Skippy, but I just did say Skippy. But like whichever one that's in the closet that we have it at my house, it's filled with junk. Junk. You know who I used to get it from too is Whole Foods, where they have like the press.
And you do it there.
That's great, and and it's natural, and there's no chemicals and junk and sugar. Sugar's the killer. I don't know about for you, but
it's for everybody. I mean, when I drink coffee, it's black.
Yes.
When I don't have diet soda really or any of that stuff anymore. It's I keep away from as much as that as I can. Yeah.
Sugar is bad news, man. I quit drinking alcohol many years ago, and when I did, I went to cake and cookies and ice cream, still, I guess, trying to find that sugar, that fix, and it's not good. They say it's more addictive than certain drugs, and I believe it, because there's a lot of times in my day, like you hit a certain, at least for me, I hit a certain point in the day, and I need a cookie or something just to kind of get through.
I think I spend more time trying to figure out how to stay healthy. It's like I was just down in Nashville with my dear friend Neil O'Donnell, his wife, and Southern cooking is deadly. Oh yeah. I mean, it's
like. Were they barbecuing or what?
Yeah, no, there was barbecue. There was food all the time, and it's just, his wife Leslie is an outstanding cook, and if I was down there, I'd be rolling out of the door, not walking. But she does a really good job in like trying to keep it healthy for everybody. So, for instance, believe it or not, for breakfast, one morning I had Greek yogurt with some granola little honey, and blueberries. She's like, you got to have blueberries. So
blueberries are great, antioxidants. Yeah, sure. So, shout out Leslie. Good job.
Yeah, exactly. Leslie, she knows I love her, and she, her husband Neil always laughs. I go, Leslie spoils me, and he goes, yeah, she does.
Yeah, he probably had to run out to the store to get the blueberries for you. Neil, come on, Big Daddy's coming over.
Exactly. So, but no, it's funny how you pay attention to things, And me, I get invited to so many different places. Like you said, you go to places that everything's free. Yeah. It's controlled.
You make a different decision, right? Yeah. Like if I got to go, even a couple weeks ago I was at the Islanders game, and I had won tickets for the Dime Club, right? Mm-hmm. Dime Club, everything's free. Yeah. Not alcoholic drinks, but like everything else is free. Carving station, fried chicken, ice cream. I watched one of my son. He hit like the Mr. Softy place 3 times. Let me tell you something, right? But he's not doing it 3 times if I got to go into my wallet, right? Yeah. That's the killer. So I know with my old man's at the Rouse, that's how it all started. When I go to Rouse, I go, oh, what you got there? Like that's like peanut butter syrup or something. I can squeeze the jar and I can put as much as I want.
Like we were chatting earlier, like. My very dear friends, the Morrow family, Joe, Augie, Dominic, they own Carnally Bakery.
Yeah, I love listen, their cannoli cream, unbelievable, man.
So I fight when I try not to even go in the bakery. They have Morrow Cafe, which is next door.
You got to get a cup of coffee, sit down.
Yeah, sit down and coffee or lunch.
Why do we go to diners when we hang out? I want to go there with you. Well, are you trying to say we got to stay out of there as part of the problem?
No. We can go to Morrow Cafe. All right, it's just they're redoing it. It's under renovations right now.
But you're saying you got to stay out of there. I mean, for the sugar part.
And it's kind of not even that. The bread. You walk in, you smell the bread. They have a meat bread there that's to die for.
Really?
Every time anyone that I've given that to, they're like, oh my God.
Have you ever, there's one up by me. So I'm up on the North Shore over here in St. Rocco's. Have you ever been there?
I've been to the Feast. I used to go to the Feast when I was a kid. Yeah,
so there's a bakery there, St. Rocco's. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those places I get a kick out of. I grew up as a bartender, right? Yeah. A lot of cash around. This place only accepts cash. You gotta go, and there's an ATM in there. I don't forget it. The line wraps around. I was there for what did we just have Thanksgiving? Yeah. So I'm on the line. I get there 6 o'clock in the morning. There's a line to get in. It's same thing though. Good place, good food.
Good food. Good bread. They even put up tents when the weather's bad.
Sure.
Because they don't want their customers to get wet while they're waiting in line. I mean, beautiful. It's outstanding. And
these are guys like for many years, Cardinal?
Yeah. I actually met them. They did my wedding cake when I was married. Yeah, and we've just become dear friends. I do business with them, and they are my extended family.
So what is it like? Are they second generation? How far along are they?
Oh, they're second generation. Yeah. They've been there. His father started the business, and nothing has changed. They've made upgrades like everybody else does, and they just produce a great product.
I love that. Something else slipped out while you were talking there. You mentioned Umberto. I feel like I'm inclined. So my father-in-law, who is now 81 years old, he used to go to Umberto's when it was just a window where you get a slice of pizza. And I want to go to that story about the Giants and stuff too, because kind of set what you're doing in the world. But about 6 months, a year ago, there's one up in Glen Cove on Umberto's from New Hyde Park, right? This is like the grandson, one of the grandsons, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's the coolest thing. He's growing tomato plants outside, tomatoes like vining around the building. It's really cool. My father-in-law's in there with us having dinner one night, and he catches the eye of it's Umberto's brother, or I forget the connection, one of the originals, and they had this kind of dialogue that he used to go to the window and get a slice of pizza, because they live in Floral Park. They're in the village of Floral Park, and for many years he would sit there on a stool having a slice of pizza with Umberto. My father-in-law would.
I am very familiar with that whole scenario because
you're from
I was there.
Park, right?
I grew up there.
How old are you though?
I started going there when I was 9.
That's right. Okay, it's a long time.
Yeah, and you know, it was funny. I wasn't tall enough to reach the counter.
Is that right?
And one of the guys there, Umberto's workers, used to pick on me all the time. And Umberto would say, he goes, that kid's going to grow up one day. He's going to come here and beat you up. So all of a sudden, I come back. I'm in college, and I hadn't seen this guy. And I walk in, and he was.
And you had grown.
And I was grown, 6'4", 280 at the time. And he was like,
I can reach the counter now, kid.
I still speak. You know, I spoke to Umberto yesterday.
That's
actually,
great.
So.
That's so good, man. I don't care where somebody's from. No better Sicilian slice anywhere. I tell you, I don't know.
Unreal. I don't know. You know what? I gave up on the comparison.
Yeah. Well, in my life, 46, 47 years of eating pizza. I mean, that is it. Top notch. Unbelievable. And I was, you know. But that's generations. That's tradition. That's you know, you mentioned college. You were away at school. Let's talk about that because I know you as Big Daddy. You know, you didn't have that nickname until you got to Maryland.
I got it when I was in Maryland.
Yeah.
And it stuck. And it is like universal now. Yeah. It's kind of funny.
It's a brand, man. It's branding.
It's a brand. I mean, it's like. I don't have it. Oh yes, I do.
What do you get the stitching in the suit?
Yeah, it says Big Daddy. So.
Oh, I got to get suits to say Tommy D. I got to work on that.
I have good fortune of having a high-end tailor and custom clother. So the first suit that I got, they put Big Daddy in it. I was like, oh my God. I go, people are going to think I'm narcissistic and, you know, this and that. And I just said, look, I'm blessed and okay.
You know what? Branding is so important because, and you know, not to be flashy or anything like that, although that's some people are like that, but it's because it's recognition and people know who you are. You know, I've been Tommy D since I'm a little kid, since I'm like 2 years old, you know, and that's just who I introduce myself. That's why it's become a brand for sure. I want to talk a little bit about business. I want to talk, because although we know each other, we're friends, I always say, you know, how can I help, Big Daddy? Like, what are you looking for? That sort of stuff. Yeah. So we started talking about it before we started recording today, but it's an insurance agency, Coastal Advisors LLC, insurance. Obviously, well, maybe it's not obvious to people who don't know you, but I know you're very involved in sports and have connections and do a lot of work with the sports leagues, NFL, but also the NHL as well, I remember, right? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the business.
Well, it's something that someone asked me to get into 30 years ago, and they moved on, and I stayed in it.
Okay.
And you know, like anything else, you have your ups and downs. You hit the bumps. All of a sudden you think you made it to heaven, but you're not there yet, and you know, you run into the friend that is running the show down below. And then you have to figure out a way to maneuver from that.
Get away from that.
Get away from that.
Yeah, it gets hot down there.
Yeah, it gets hot down there, and it's not pleasant. And I think what I've been, I don't know if the word lucky or fortunate, is that our business, just like yours and mine, it's all relationship-based. I mean, people say to me, how do you keep up with all these names? How do you, you know, and I'm like, I really don't know. I just know that this is who I am, this is what I do, and can I help you? This is how I help people. Yeah. You know, and then it just leads from doing one thing to doing something else to doing, you know, the best example is, you know, being in insurance and all of a sudden I'm on national TV. Yeah. Like I'm in front of 10 million people on Fox and Friends. Which I was, you know, I still was blown away.
How long has that been going, that stuff? Like
that went on, 2006.
So it's been a long time you've been going to TV.
I started doing that. I was, at first I was like booking. I was helping book some shows. Okay. There used to be a show, it was at the Waldorf Astoria, and it was called The Happy Hour Show. Okay. And my good friend, who I'm friends with still, Cody Willard, he was one of the hosts there. And I started doing that, and then that was Fox Business. Okay. And then all of a sudden, I went over to Fox News. And then I started doing Super Bowl correspondent work on Fox News.
Before that, though, why were they bringing you on? I mean, you were an insurance guy, right? So, like, what were you bringing to that conversation initially? Because I know now it's football, right?
Yeah, it was contacts. You know, it was able to help.
So you were helping bring them people.
Booking, And then all of a sudden, someone had a crazy idea. Big Daddy, you should get on.
Why don't you get in front of the camera?
Yeah, and I was like, what? And I was, okay, yeah. So I still laugh because I remember the first Super Bowl I did. You know, guys are like, Big Daddy, what are you doing with a mic? You know, like, and these are guys that you see on TV all the time.
Right.
So bless his soul, Tony Saragusa, he was a friend of mine. You know, he passed away, but he was the guy who goes, now all we need to do is, Big Daddy, we just have to dress you up a little bit. You know, you gotta play the role, and I'll never forget. And it was, if you go on YouTube, there's some of those hits are on there.
Like old school stuff.
Old school stuff that.
Were you comfortable doing it right away, or what?
Yeah, there's two guys that I owe a lot to, AJ Hall and Sean Groman, who used to be at Fox. AJ's still there. Those guys were bringing me along as we went. Yeah. You know, so there's some funny stories that I can't get into, but, you know, with the whole process and whatnot. But they really, really held my hand, you know, and then it was just like, okay, so if you make a mistake, you know, you make a mistake because it's not taped, it's live. So you just go with it. It is
what it is, man, yeah.
And then Brian Kilmeade, who I used to say was my TV mentor, he and I worked together on all those segments. And I'm still in touch with him, and you know, I've been fortunate to be friends with him, you know, the whole Fox and Friends group, and Sean Hannity is one of my closest friends, and a guy I look up to, and I kind of bounce stuff off him, and so again, that's nothing that I ever thought in my life I would have been doing, and then that's led to a lot of opportunities. You know, I'm on other networks now, and you know, the Today Show just did this huge feature on me that aired twice. It was so good, it aired on Christmas Day as well.
So that stuff, like, that wasn't a strategy to say, hey, I want to help this will help build my insurance practice or nothing like that, right? Just things happen.
They do stories on people or things that NFL fans may not know about.
Okay.
So everyone knows now, you know, and everybody knows about Umberto's because they gave Umberto's a huge plug.
In your piece?
In the NBC piece, yeah. And it was, you know, that was a blessing. That was a great Christmas gift.
Yeah, that's awesome. I got to watch that. When I see you sometimes, you post on social media, I see you on the sidelines and stuff like that. You know, you're hugging these guys. I see you in the tunnel. I see you with like Coach Reed. I remember seeing something a couple months ago, and Andy Reid, you were in the tunnel. I think one of you was on the cart or something. He was on the golf cart.
He came over. He didn't know I was there.
Okay.
And we were in L.A. I was out in L.A. and he saw me. He gave me a hug, and you know. And it's I've been friends with them with Andy and his wife for years.
That's unbelievable.
You know,
but that's all. See, when I was hearing you talk earlier, that's authenticity, right? That's relationships. You're friends with these people. People ask you, how do you remember names? They're my friends. Don't you remember your friends' names? They just happen to be, this is their profession, right?
Yeah, it's, you know, you talk about Steve Spagnuolo, him and his wife Maria, I love to death, and, you know, she and I just spoke recently, so I'm going to go out there for the first playoff game.
Are you? I hung out with them at your golf outing a couple of years ago, same year with the Italian Ices. Wow, that took us on a whole journey just now with the Ices, right?
Yeah.
But that, I was hanging out, I met Steve. My sons met him. What a nice man. And then I come back. I change from Italian Ice clothes into like a linen suit, and I come into the dinner. And I'm hanging out with him and his wife for like an hour and a half. And it was like hanging out with you and me. Because again, they're just people.
They're great people, and you know, he's a Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah.
I mean, for a guy he's got 5 rings, and you know, defensive coordinator. Not too many guys out there have that, and. You know, if he gets one this year, I mean, it's like the icing's on the cake. I mean, you can't question him.
I'll tell you something, man. Listen, I grew up here on Long Island, right? I've always loved NFL football. If I had to say, we were more Giants fans than Jet fans in my house, you know. And when it comes to baseball, my kids kind of knew they were going to be Met fans. That was the way it was going to go. Although my son did try to. My mother-in-law was giving me a hard time. She thought she was going to be, she's a Yankee fan. She was trying to get one of my kids, my older son. That's a whole nother story. But when it comes down to it, I feel like with football, you watch all the games. Different than, you know, other sports. Like I don't watch other baseball games. You watch your team. But Mahomes and that team, man, I go around saying we're Chiefs fans, though. I Because I can't be a Giant. You know, like I was never that loyal and committed to local teams. I used to like when they played at different times, so I could watch the Jets game and the Giants game when you wanted to watch them.
Yeah.
But this kid Mahomes and that team, I mean, that's a dynasty. You know.
That is a system.
Yeah.
That's what I call it. A system.
I like that.
Because they don't miss a beat.
Yeah.
You know, the best example is, and not to get too football technical, is how they lost their left tackles, 2 of them, and they took their Pro Bowl guard and put him out at left tackle. They don't miss a beat.
That's it. Keep it moving.
You know, they get guys hurt like everybody else, and they plug the spot, and they keep winning. So that's why I call it system. It's a system. You know, it's like. It's inbred, where the culture is just winning.
We win. That's what we do here.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, they just won the Super Bowl last year, right?
Yeah.
The Chiefs. So
they're going for 3 this year,
right?
3 in a row.
And like I remember people saying they're not that good. Like they were like the not that good team that just keeps barreling through. Like I don't. Are they 14-1 now? 15.
Yeah, 14-1.
14-1. So like. You don't want to say nothing's guaranteed, but in their minds, that's where we go. We go up there. There's a game. There's a
actually they're 15-1.
They're 15.
I think it's 17 games. Yeah.
So like it's about vision, right? Like they see themselves up there. They don't see any second place. They don't see losing that game. They're in the Super Bowl. They win. That's But it's a system. How have you seen, like, even when you talk about your relationships and your business from a system? Do you take a lot from football and implement it into your business or your strategy in life?
I do, because I think it's discipline. A lot of people, and some people that watch this that know me personally very well are going to laugh when I say what I'm about to say, but I just don't, I can't, when people use excuses, that drives me bananas. Because look, I may not be able to run 10 miles right now, but I'll walk the 10 miles to get there.
Right, I'm going to finish it.
Yeah, I'm not going to make an excuse for not doing it.
Yeah.
That's why I say discipline is what helps people excel.
Yeah.
Because if you're disciplined enough to want to be the best that you could be in your personal life and in your business life, you'll do it.
You'll do it. 100%. You might have to get up earlier.
Yeah.
You might have to go to bed later because you're working on it. There's a guy, David Goggins. I don't know if you're familiar with Goggins, but he's one of these guys. He was I might mess this up, but he was a Marine, but very one of those elite groups. Like I don't know if he was an Army Ranger or a Marine or he's like elite groups and does like unbelievable stuff and has this attitude like he says, I'm not the smartest. A lot of things come difficult to me, and I just work harder. And I might have to read something 20 times to somebody, but I just do it. Just do it and do it. He's like one of these ultra marathoners, runs through the night. But it's the same thing. Like your excuses. What are we talking about? Like, and it's discipline. Get up and do it. So your point is great. Maybe I can't run the 10 miles, but I'm going to get to the finish line. It might take me longer. I might have to go a different route, but I'm going to get there.
Yeah, and I think it's again being positive. Positive creates positive. That's why I always say get rid of negative. Sometimes you have a negative that's like, it's kind of like sand in your pocket.
Yeah.
And you're like trying to get it out, but it's still like weighing you down. And it's like, take your pants off already, So,
you heard it here first, folks.
Exactly. Take your pants off. You got sand in your pocket.
Let's go. Shake it. Shake it out.
Yeah,
Get rid of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, I just think that positive influence is what helps me the most.
Yeah.
You could be down. Everybody has ups and downs.
Sure.
So look, I could sit there like, and I'm like, oh man, ugh. But I'm like, I got to do this because you know what? If I don't do it, no one else is going to do it.
100%.
And you're in sales like me, so I joke around. I say all night insurance. I get calls from the West Coast, so if it's at 11 at night, I got to take that call because if I don't, someone else will.
There's a guy, Tom Hopkins, old school sales trainer, many, many years ago. He used to sell real estate, and he used to call it money call, because that's what it is. That's somebody calling with an opportunity, right? And especially in a business like you and I are in, it's reputational. And especially even what you're doing, because you are working with the elites, right? You're working with very high-level people, and once you're into that network, whether it be sports professionals, business professionals, people talk in a good way, and people talk in a negative way. So we got to make sure we're always at that high level.
At the height, you got to be on top of your game, and it's funny. I'm in Nashville, and I run into somebody, and small world. He used to live across the street from a client of mine in California, and Long Islander too, actor D.B. Sweeney.
Okay, and that you met him down there?
I met him in Nashville and at a party. And then we just started clicking, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, so and so's my kid's godfather." I'm like, "You got to be kidding me!" So I'm like, "Let's take a picture," and I go send it to him and tell him I said hello. And
That's funny.
So the world is very, very small.
It is.
And the thing that I've noticed a lot of this year is, I started noticing last year, was that you put yourself in a high-profile place, and people are watching.
Yeah.
Like, people really watch. And I'm like laughing at myself. I'm like, I'm not a celebrity or any of that, but people watch, people talk, and those are the people that you need to speak good of you, because you want referrals. You want to meet people.
I run into people all the time, and who would argue that you're not a celebrity because I think they think you are a celebrity. So like, your friend's Big Daddy? I'm like, that's my buddy. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, and because, and I love how you're humble about it, because it's not to you, you're saying you're
we're
not
friends,
right,
and I'm an insurance salesman.
Right,
I'm like,
exactly.
You know what? I'm nothing more.
Yeah, it is funny, because I realize it in the stuff I'm doing, the content I'm putting out there, the shows I do, where I'll be at an event and meet people I don't know, and they're like, "Oh my God, you do that show, Philanthropy in Focus," and like, it's funny because I go, "Oh, people are actually paying attention." Of course they are, because thousands of people download this stuff and watch what we're doing, but with that comes the responsibility, right? The responsibility to add value, the responsibility to stay connected to people. I think that's critically important. From a philanthropic, we only got a moment left, but from a philanthropic perspective, I know that's been important to you over the years. Why is getting involved with nonprofits so important to you?
It's a way to give back.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? I'm privileged, I'm fortunate, I'm blessed, I'm lucky to have the connections and relationships that I have. So why not use them for something good?
Yeah, I love that. I love it. So
that's
important.
Really the only way I could put it.
Yeah, it's so important. And I see into the future, like I have a crystal ball, not here, I left it at home, but I can see into the future, and I see that there's opportunities for us to collaborate going forward.
Yeah.
I see some great relationships that we could do together. And one thing, you say you're blessed, you say you're fortunate, you say you're lucky. You have great friends that look out for you. These celebs, they are, if you're not, they are, right?
Yeah.
These celebrities, whether they be athletes or otherwise, they're in your corner, and I see them come out for stuff. And that's just always, from my perspective, always a testament in, yes, maybe it's good service, but it's good relationship. And if you've looked out for people, and that's that reciprocity comes back.
One of my dearest and closest friends, who's a client, is, he always says, "You're afraid to ask for things."
He says about you?
Yeah, and that's true. I don't want to because everybody else is bothering,
Yeah.
And like, when I really ask for something, it's because I really need it.
Yeah.
And I try to keep the asks as minimum as possible, because the whole world's asking.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's funny because you say that, and we're gonna have to leave it here in a second, but I've come to you with things, and I'm like, I don't know if I really want to ask him, because I don't want to put you in a position, and it's interesting how we're all trying to find that best way.
Well, you can always ask.
Well, I know, but I still feel, I hear what you're saying is my point, Listen, thanks for being here. We got plenty more to talk about. Maybe we should do this once a month. I know this is not Fox and Friends, but it's Tommy D and Friends.
Listen, my friend, you need me here, I'll be here.
You're a good man. This is another episode of ChangeMakers, Long Island ChangeMakers. Just another In Focus production. Your boy Tommy D. Make it a great day. See you later. Bye.